you guys have questions, so the whole point of this live, as I'm 2 minutes in trying to get established and get some people on here, the whole point of the live is to answer questions every Monday. I want to start answering any questions that people might have of me. Um, they can be as technical or as macro as you want them to be. I'm not shy of the questions. I want to start providing value to as many people as possible, and this is a way we're going to do it. Next week, I will definitely be having people join me on screen for questions. This week, I was having some issues getting that to work. But for this week, any questions anybody has, you can throw them into chat or message them to me, and I will work on answering those questions or elaborating further. So, let's see. Who else is on here? Who's on live right now? Make sure I get it shared in the right spot. What's up, JB? Should I open a beer? Yes. George, present. Hearing and seeing. Hello. Guru 30. Awesome. Like any live, there's a little bit of a delay here, but ask away, guys. Ask any questions you want to. All right. Josh is on. Zach is on. Whitney's on. Steven's on. John Ware, how do you decide which carriers to work with? So a lot of times, when we're deciding when a new carrier comes into the market, whether we want to work with them or not, we look, of course, at financials, but most of what we're trying to look at is does this company bring something to the table that we're missing in our portfolio? Or do I think it will soon? So a lot of times, we go through periods where we try to write, the companies that are big and strong and economically sound long term. But what we tend to find out with over time is that there'll be pips of time, if you will, with Medicare supplement premiums where you won't have any super competitive name brand carriers. So we're Mutual of Omaha, Aetna, Cigna, those United Healthcare, those big name brand carriers will get to the point where they're priced out of the top 5, 6, 7 companies with competitiveness. This happened a few years ago where we wrote a lot of Puritan, a couple of years ago, a lot of Puritan, and then had a little run with Pan American as well. And then not too long after that, Aetna started dropping their rates, and then Mutual of Omaha came in with a better rate, and then Aetna dropped Ascendo, and all those things have happened since. And so right now, a large portion of our business is getting eaten up by Aetna and the Mutual of Omaha. But we don't take for granted that we're always going to have those companies. Sometimes it may be a smaller company, but we just look at which ones we think are going to, be sustainable long term. We also look for companies for underwritten niches. So we want to make sure that we have, enough underwritten niche companies to where when we have a case that's a little unusual, we are able to, help with that company. We also, are on the Medicare supplement side. We're looking for companies that they have that aren't accepting everything. So I don't want to make one of my primary companies somebody that takes everything, because that probably means they're going to go up quickly on their premiums down the road. So a lot of times it seems like you want a company that takes everything, but then if you get that company, they're going to have massive increases. So you want to use them when you need them, but you don't necessarily want to make them your go-to company for everyone. Okay, so but you need those companies sometimes too. So when we look at them, we're looking for underwritten niches, we're looking at commission levels, we're looking at financial data, we're looking at name brand recognition. We kind of look at all of that stuff and then make a relative comparison as to what we're going to write in our market. Now we tend to pick up a lot of companies, but sometimes it's defensive, and sometimes we're also picking them up make sure that different people in our hierarchy have them that need them. Maybe in their area, it's more important to have them than in our area. So let's see. Mary Alice, make it a Corona. Very fitting. Let's see. Jorge says, how much do you help downline agents? How much do you make yourself available to them? So, we're trying to build out, having more people for downline agents. I probably make myself too available, to an extent, where I'm, texting and messaging and emailing at all hours of the day, pretty much around the clock. Some people get messages from me at freaking 2 in the morning and stuff like that. But, we want to be more and more available. I do think that for everybody, this is different because there are some agents that actually that ask for too much. For what we try to do is we try to recruit agents that can put in enough value to justify the amount of value that they need in return. And for those agents, I'll do as much as I can, as much as I possibly can. We don't like a lot of brand new agents because unless they're going to be in my office or working around me where they can soak in more, and I see that they have a tremendous amount of potential. I think some people are drastically under or not, I don't know what the right word is, unself-aware to a fault where they don't realize that they're not putting in that much effort, that they're trying to learn everything, learn everything, and they want you to teach them all the time, but they're not really doing anything in exchange for it. They're not putting up any real numbers at all. So that's an important one. I think recruiting is a give and take. If you have a hierarchy that you're demanding a lot from, but you're not really doing a lot, then you might want to make sure that you're putting up as much as you expect to get back. Mary Alice said Cigna is a little more lenient on their underwriting. Cigna has been in some ways. They have some little things that they decline for that others don't, like tobacco and diabetes combination, and Plavix use is completely declinable, things like that. But for the most part, yeah, they do have, they are a little better than other companies. So let me head over here on a different side here. Tyrone said, what CRM are you using and does it integrate with your website? So right now we're with two. We have ProDash and we have Agency Block. So we're in a little bit of a transitional period. We're still heavily using Agency Block because I was a little afraid about ripping the Band-Aid off before AEP. ProDash does a lot more integration. Agency Block has lead form integration, so you can make your lead form embedded from your CRM on your website if you want to by using their lead form option. Laura, do you recommend starting with the Medigap cells first before Medicare Advantage? That's a tough question because I think Medicare Advantage, it really would depend on the market somebody was in, probably. If you were going phone sales all over the country, probably Medigap, just because it's easier to understand. But, over time, of course, I would add in everything because to be a Medicare advisor or a real Medicare agent, I think you need to be able to do it all. But yeah, if you're doing phone, Medigap, if you're doing Medicare Advantage, or if you're doing local sales, more, local strategies, I would say it depends on where you're at, and then that if you're doing local too, you'd probably want to be able to sell both of them just so you can close as much as possible. But of course, it can be an undertaking to learn all of it for sure. Zach, I'm here. I'm just the guy interrupting you via text message. Okay, I needed one of those. Price, when a client that currently has MAPD, how do we figure out what plan they are on if they do not know? So if you're doing phone sales and somebody tells you that they don't know what plan they have and it's Medicare Advantage, you could ask them to get out there if they don't have their card. First of all, it's typically not the best prospect over the phone because who just doesn't even know what company they're on or anything? Normally those are like rough to close on the phone. They're maybe de-snip clients, things like that. But if you wanted to proceed and see where it went, I would ask them to get out their Medicare card, ask them if they mind you helping them get into their mymedicare.gov account. You could create them a username and password with their email if they had that. You'd get in and you could see it under mymedicare.gov, whatever they had. If you're in person, do the same thing. Then it's actually a better prospect because it's just easier to deal with those people in person. But yeah, that can be difficult. Most of the time they know something about it, and you can start to kind of pinpoint it. When it's Medicare Supplement, it's a little bit easier because you ask them things like, do you ever pay a deductible? And then whether they do or don't, what they likely have. Craig, what percentage of appointments do over the phone/computer? Also, what percentage of sales is MedSup versus Advantage? So our percentage of appointments over the phone to computer right now, probably about 60% over the phone, about 40% in person still. People are coming to our office. What percentage of MedSup versus Advantage? So we're at about 90. We're at 90+% MedSup right now, but our Advantage sales are going to be going up big time this fall because they have a lot of carriers coming into the territories that we advertise in that weren't there before, and there were really no Medicare Advantage options before, other than ones that weren't accepted by the major health hospitals. So, Jorge, Justin, how much you trust companies that sell you leads? I don't know. I guess that depends. If the company, I guess it depends on what kind of company you're talking about. Some companies sell good leads. Most of the time, I guess it depends, man. Honestly, I've had really good leads come from companies and then turn right around and have really bad leads come from them. So I don't know what the best answer for that one is, honestly. Tyrone, how many MedSup companies should you have in your arsenal? I mean, normally, like, we have a bunch of MedSup companies, but we're really pivoting between 3 or 4. You need your loose underwriting companies, your rate busters, your 2 rate busters. Like for us right now, it's Moo and Aetna, and then we have as a backup, you have like your Pan American Bankers Fidelity, like slightly looser underwriting, maybe Americo, and then you have AARP as your big backup, and that's getting the majority of our business right there. So 3, 4, 5, somewhere in there, depending on the area and what's available. I could use a looser MedSup company with preferred rates if one came around, but it's very rare. So UHC is coming out with a PPO in my state. Go to any doctor. So remember, with PPO, you can't necessarily go to any doctor. They say that UHC would allow you to go to that doctor, but that doctor may not file it. So I don't know about you guys, but filing on a Medicare Advantage plan yourself would be a pretty difficult task. So I don't tell people they can go to any doctor. I tell them that United Healthcare allows them to go out of network, and United Healthcare would still pay. But that doesn't mean that the doctor has to take it. And that's what we've seen here is Humana has a PPO here. That North Mississippi Medical Center and all of their facilities, which is pretty large in this area, will not file it at all, unless it's an emergency. Okay, let's flip back over to this one. Okay, let's see. Jorge said, do you sell any long-term care? Mutual of Omaha, long-term care. You said Moo has the lowest MedSup rates in Alabama. Yes. Moo does pretty good there. Jorge, do you sell any long-term care? We sell a little bit. We sell probably more Aetna recovery care. So Aetna's recovery care is like a long-term care policy for 1 year. So it's a short-term care policy. Medico has one like that as well. We sell the Aetna one a few times a year. It seems like, not very often. And then the Moo real long-term care a few times a year. Don't really go after that market. I'm not saying it's a bad market. Filing claims on it can be a real pain in the butt when it does happen, so just prepare yourself for that. Let's see. Miles, how do you start into phone sales? You buy leads or mailers, cold calling. So there's a couple of different ways to go phone sales. You just kind of named them all, but let's go through this. With phone sales, you can buy leads or create leads, just cold leads, and go after them. Okay. You can cold call raw data, like you're talking about there. That way, you have to go into it for like Medicare supplements, Medigap, final expense, things like that. Or you can send out advertisements that are direct response, making people call back into you, and you can just sit around and answer the phone calls. Now, there's a reason that not a lot of people do that third one. It's because it takes some real time to get it going like that. But that's more how we do it. You know, we advertise in a way to get people to call us. We spend a lot of money doing that so that we can hopefully sit around most of the day and answer phone calls and help people through their Medicare woes. But you can work the leads. We've done it all. We've had people in here cold calling. We've had people, we've bought leads, had success buying leads, struggled with buying leads, cultivated leads. So we've done all of that. At the end of the day, if you can afford it, I prefer sitting back and getting the phone to ring. It's just expensive. Michelle Stair. I've sold quite a few long-term care policies under a captive agency and would like to continue the trend as an independent. There's a hybrid product from One America I'm getting set up with now. I've heard about the One America product. I've heard it's really good. I don't know much about it though. Mary Alice, how do you do that? I'm not sure what you meant by that there. Which would you recommend starting first, marketing campaign or website? I have a new agency, need to get a customer base. I would recommend a marketing campaign first. Website would not be my first setup. I wouldn't even be concerned with it until you had a base going. What percentage of appointments do you overperform? Okay. All right, guys. Looks like I'm getting to the end of these questions. Does anybody else have a question for me? Questions. Get people to call you. I should get people to call me. Actually, that's what we had originally done, and next time I'll have people on the video with us, and we'll just be having a discussion about some of these things. Anybody on here wants to call me, man. I'll let you call me. Let's see. Low-cost funnel system. Okay, let me go through some of that. Let's see. Mary Alice. So how do you get people to call you? You send out direct mail talking about Medicare and the basics, or how to save money on a plan, things like that, and tell them to call you in the mailer. Your call to action is to call you. You can run Facebook ads where you're explaining the concepts of Medicare and retargeting people that watch the videos, and you're telling people to call you in the ads. Call us. You run TV ads getting people to call you. You can put billboards up telling people to call you. You can run ads in newspapers, ads on the radio. It's traditional style marketing, getting people to call you. We get really bogged down in a lead game because new agents have a hard time getting people to call them because it takes a little time to build the name brand required to make someone pick up the phone and call you. But somebody that has the money to start spending in it and inundating a smaller audience, I would do it that way. Google Ads is more of a lead creator. So Google Ads is going to create a lead. Google Ads is not going to build a brand or get people to call you. I mean, it can be a call campaign, but that's still a cold lead typically. Low-cost funnel system. I use ClickFunnels. I don't think it's low cost, but it's $97 a month. If you get three people to sign up under you, it'll pay for itself forever though. So I don't know. It's not a low cost one, but ClickFunnels is really good, and I've just never been real like cheap on software. I spend money on it, and I know that means you're thinking, well, you got a lot of money now. Well, I didn't always, and I still spent money on it. I just like ClickFunnels. I never ever even shopped for the cheap alternatives. I used lead pages first, and then I went to ClickFunnels. I am a new agent. I'm trying to use Fill resources to build a book of business. Any tips? I'm trying to use Fill resources. Leslie, you might have to reword that one. I can't understand what you mean there. Let's see. How much marketing should your FMO help you with? That depends, man. Honestly, so if you're selling Medicare Advantage in an area that they have expansion, sometimes the carriers will pass on marketing dollars to them. I would say that for the most part, if I was looking for help from an FMO with marketing, I would look for FMOs that have actually done marketing that worked. Because if they give you some money for some crappy leads that don't work, that's not really help for you anyway. Most of them are going to do it on until you have an established name with them where they know that you're actually producing, then they're not going to give you any money, until you have earned it. Because the unfortunate truth is you could burn a lot of money on marketing if it's put behind somebody who doesn't have the ability to close enough to make up for that marketing. So, um, carriers and FMOs together will typically cover up to 75% of lead drops, given that you're, meeting certain thresholds or goals for them. With Medicare Advantage, with Medicare Supplement, and some of those other ones, it's not as much because there's not as much upfront override for them. Let's see, where is one of these? What lead source do you use? Facebook, direct mail, television. That's the top three. And when I say direct mail, it's not the same kind of direct mail that where you send out a card and they send it back to you. I'm talking about direct mail where you send letters to people that you write about you and how you could help them when they turn 65, things like that. Creating a brand, send it, but try to do it in the same market, so where you're hitting them multiple times. Now, you don't have to do all of those. You could do Facebook and direct mail. You could do, we've done billboards. We've done some other things, billboard sponsorships, things like that for branding purposes. But you should definitely, have a couple of different, lead sources and begin to increase over time. If you were just buying leads to get you through in the meantime, I'd start cultivating them on Facebook or somewhere, YouTube maybe, something like that, to start out. And then, I don't know if I'd go straight to a lead vendor and start buying leads. Craig, to get people to call, what do you think is the best bang for the buck? TV, direct mail, radio, Facebook? Probably initially direct mail. TV may be getting inundated with these ads. It probably depends on the area that you're in, but TV and direct mail, if you're in that budget, your bang for the buck can be like, if you have a big budget, you can get a higher bang for your buck, probably on TV and direct mail. If you have a lower budget, probably Facebook and radio. But Facebook is going to be harder to make people call you because you have to structure things differently than you would on a regular leads campaign. How many Facebook leads do you get a month? Well, I don't really run mine for leads anymore. I run mine, I've started running mine like television commercials on Facebook to get people to call us, right? So you're just putting out educational and entertaining content. Remember, there's only two ways to market anymore, in my opinion: education and entertainment. If you're putting out educational content, and then retargeting those video viewers, and then getting people to call you that way. That would be how I would do it. We're in the thank you economy, meaning people will do business with you if you're the one educating them before they did business with you. They're not going to, some people, I mean, you still can get business traditional ways, but more and more people are looking for the person that gave them the information to do business with, that gave them the information before they did the business. Uh-oh, got a call. Hello, it's Guru 30, you're on.
Hello?
Hello?
I'm trying to reach, is this, the Bobby Brock insurance?
It is, yes. Can I help you?
I was trying to get in touch. Zach Devon had called me.
Right.
Does he work for you?
Yes, ma'am.
And, anyway, I got a service on my email today. I thought you said somebody would call me because it was working me out a better care than I had with Cigna.
Right.
And I wondered if you could give me a call back tomorrow so I know if I'm supposed to fill this thing on my email out.
I sure will. What was your name?
Becky Devon, same as that.
Okay. And this 808 number, is that yours?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'll have him call you tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. It was out of state. I thought it was one of you guys. Can you believe it? Okay, let's see. Are you planning to do the Facebook program again for agents before AEP? The Facebook program that we have is still available out there. So we do have a Facebook program that's available. It's on justinbrock.net under the training tab. Let me see here to call you. I give you $5,000 to start building your book of business from scratch. MA and MedSup. What you doing? Oh, okay. So you're saying if you give me that, MA and MedSup, what am I doing? From scratch, right now, I have a specific mailer that I would send out to people that are turning 65 in my area to get them to start calling me. And I would make sure that my advances were on as high of advance as I could get on MedSup. And I'd start giving educational pitches over the phone. That's what I'd do. I'd phase it in with, I'd use direct mail right away. That's what I'd say today. I've said Facebook before. It just depends, man. It all works. I don't know if any of you have heard me say it before, but everything works a little, nothing works a lot is a true statement. Except for one caveat. Occasionally you'll find something that works a lot. Just remember it won't work forever, so you need to exploit the hell out of it while you can. Did you ever buy a bob? A bob? A book of business. Oh, sorry. Did you ever buy a book of business? No, I've never bought a book of business. Thought about it. I would buy one, but I haven't bought one before. I thought you meant one of them strollers my wife made me pay like 5 times more than I should have for jogging back in the day. Let's see. Free resources. Okay, you're looking for free resources, Leslie. Free resources to build a book of business. Any tips? Well, shoot. I mean, free resources. My YouTube channel, hello, is packed full of stuff on there. There's these Facebook groups, Medicare Gurus, tons of stuff. I mean, there's just a lot of resources out there now, and some very inexpensive resources that pretty much anyone could afford. I mean, it's there's so much out there now. I would just, you could spend a weekend just consuming hours and hours of content, and then just taking little nuggets and map out a marketing formula from free content, really. Jeff Wilson, do you use a program/CRM that helps track your commissions and downline commissions? We do. We use a company called APL to do it. We don't do it within our CRM. We can give CRM accounts to certain downlines, depending on the levels they have and things like that. But we use APL to track LOA commissions and our own internal commission processing. My FMO typically pays half. Moo helps me with leads. Helps with leads. So Moo MedSup gives out data lists. I wouldn't call those leads. They maybe they give you leads. I think it'd probably depend on what you're writing and how what exactly you mean. They won't give leads to most people unless you're using them to buy some kind of leads through their marketing reimbursement program. The If your FMO is paying half, you're probably producing, or they won't keep doing that. So good job. Do you use radio? I've used radio before. I've never done it long term, so I can't say with confidence how it would work because any real marketing plan should be able to be tried for, honestly, we used to say 3 months. I'd say 12 months before you really can gauge how well it works. All right. All right, guys. I'm running out of questions. Nobody wanted to call 877-877-5505. Stephen threw it in the comments over here, but I may have never said it. You can call me 877-877-5505. 877-877-5505. It's toll free, man. You ain't even got to pay nothing. Where's that email? Phones. 877-877-5505. Give me a call. Give me a call. Let's answer some questions, man. Come on, man. That's how Joe Biden talks. Come on, man. All right. About to hop off here if you ain't got any more questions for me. Next week, I'm going to get some people on here so we can dialogue back and forth. It'll be really, really good. I think it'll be awesome. I'm hoping you guys can start making it 5:30 and come up with some good questions. Miles says, hiring appointment setter / telemarketer or do it yourself. You do it yourself until you can't, man. You do it yourself, and then when you can afford to hire somebody, hire. I hire people every chance I get. We're hiring another person now. Hello.
Hello, this is Mary Alice. How are you?
Good. How are you doing, Mary Alice?
I'm good. I'm over here in Alabama.
Alabama. That's a stone's throw.
Where are you?
Tupelo.
Awesome. Well, I'm licensed in Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia.
Awesome. Well,
not in Mississippi, so I won't compete with you.
All right. Just don't market in Tupelo, and I'll give you all my secrets.
Well, the COVID has actually taken a little chunk out of my business because I'm a big door knocker.
Okay.
Or I was.
Right.
So right now I'm developing my website, and I have a lot of curiosity about the different ways to market remotely. Mm-hmm. And that's one reason I'm listening to this, and I'm getting some really good information from you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, so if I was,
you said nothing works a lot. Everything works a little bit.
Yeah. So somebody told me that a long time ago. It was somebody that I was asking. It was a downline agent of ours that does a lot of production, and he's been in the business longer than I had. But I help him with a lot of things, and we talk a lot. And he said, I'd asked him, I said, well, have you even created a Facebook page for your business yet? Have you got on Facebook? And he was alluding to the fact that he's not at all opposed to that. Mm-hmm. But he said, everything works a little, nothing works a lot. And so I've just kind of sat on it for a little while, but over 6 years of spending a lot of money on different marketing, I concur with that. It's true. I mean, sometimes you'll find a little gold mine. Mm-hmm. Like if you were the one running Facebook ads, in 2014, it was really good, because there wasn't a lot of people doing it. So people didn't even know it was an ad, and they just thought, oh my gosh, I'm getting this organic, great, Medicare post. Well, now the seniors might be inundated with insurance ads, and they're more immune to them. Same thing with direct mail. Imagine the first people that started sending out direct mail advertisements back in God knows when. I imagine it worked way better. Same thing with email marketing. But once something becomes, you know, to a point where people will get to where it's kind of an annoying marketing thing. Oh, it's marketing, it's
Yeah.
annoying. So somebody says, I think Russell Brunson says, marketers ruin everything. So as insurance agents, we're all kind of marketers. We
Sure.
ruin things by over exploiting a marketing strategy, and that's what makes it to where everything works a little, nothing works a lot. But it still works, and so you just got to find out where is my break even point on this spend. So if it's direct mail, for instance, and I have to spend, $200 to sell a Medicare Advantage or a Medicare supplement, Medicare
Hmm.
Advantage plan or Medicare supplement plan, and my average first year commission is, let's just say average is $300 or whatever. Well, as long as I'm making that $100, then year two, three, four, five, six, those are all 100% profit. So I just have to
Right.
figure out what I can spend, and then I have to test the waters on some things. Some things are harder to test the waters on to get an
Well, here's
idea of.
here's something that I heard this a long time ago about advertising.
Yeah.
It takes someone 7 times of seeing your ad
Mm-hmm.
to convince them to give you a call. So if you're doing say you're turning 65, if you're selling a med sub, you can actually write that application 6 months out. If
Right.
you start sending mail outs to those people 9 months out, and by the time they're 6 months out, they've already had 3 mail outs from you,
Right.
then you're more likely to capture more of those people because they've seen your ad more than once,
Yeah.
and now they're convinced to call you.
Definitely. We have a mailer right now that we send out, multi-phased, where you're sending it multiple times to the same people, and by the
Yeah,
time they get 3 or 4 mailers, that every time they get one, you get through another layer of those people. Some people are those types of people that call if you just hit them at the right time with the first one. But then there's those other
right.
people that once they see the third letter, they think, okay, this person's persistent. And then if you can send somebody 3 letters at the same time as you're running Facebook ads in their area, and they're seeing you on Facebook and getting your letter, then you even get into a point where you're really getting through to them. So
Yeah, yeah, and you start to look familiar to them.
yeah. Then when by the time they talk to you, you're not a stranger just because you never talked.
That's right.
They feel like that you've already educated them on something. So
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
yeah, that I mean
Well, the
that's what we like.
coronavirus is forcing me to market in a different way.
Yeah.
So that's one of the real interests that I have in what you've got to say, because I know I have to change the way I'm marketing.
Right. Right. Yeah, we've seen a lot of people talk about that. So
Yeah.
well, I hope you're finding some success, and I hope some of this has helped, because it's going to be a big AEP, and a lot more people are going to do business on the phone than they used to. So
Well, I absolutely. I got into a Walmart program. I'm going
hmm
to be sitting in a Walmart local, and also who was it? Humana.
hmm
Humana agreed, and sometimes some of these carriers will give you a boost. They told me send us 5 zip codes around that Walmart, and we'll send out a mailer letting people know that's where you are.
right. Yeah, that they
If you
will
can
do
get
that.
it, yeah, if you can get a carrier to help you like that, and Mutual of Omaha has, you're probably right. They probably just sent me data sheets instead of leads,
Hey, I'll take
but
anything they'll send me because I can use that data sheet to even mail stuff too if I needed to. Or
absolutely.
so
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
They'll do all kinds of things. The carriers can be, especially on the Medicare Advantage side, they can be very, and to explain that to people that don't know is what when Medicare Advantage is capped as to how much they can compensate, but that's not
Uh-huh.
necessarily all the money that they're willing to spend to acquire that client. So they
Yeah.
just spend the rest of it on marketing, and they love to find people that are giving them results and help them with marketing because they know it's actually going somewhere that's being used to help somebody grow their, book of business. And they
Yeah.
know too, when they have an agent, they stay on the books longer. They've
Yeah,
already talked
absolutely.
about that. So, um,
The way it makes me feel is if they're willing to spend money, I'm just that much more motivated to make sure that not only I see a return for that money, but they do.
right. No, me too. Precisely. Well, I appreciate you calling, Mary Alice.
It was nice talking to you.
You too. And call anytime if you need anything.
Absolutely. Keep up the good work. I'm really enjoying this.
Thank you so much. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.
Okay, bye bye.
Well, guys, it's been real and it's been fun. But it ain't been real fun. No, it has been real fun. I appreciate you all being on here. I'm going to try to do this more often. I will try to answer. John said, who recommended for blog articles? This is Jorge. For blog articles, we use secure agent marketing for a lot of our copy and content, but you can also find like freelance copywriters on what's it called? You can go on Fiverr and LinkedIn and Indeed and try to find freelance copywriters. John said, what duties do you assign to an assistant as growing a one-man shop? You'd be surprised the creative ways that you can find to outsource things. Just any task that someone else can do could be valuable for that time. Um, so yeah, I would definitely try to outsource as much of it as possible. That's hard to specifically answer, but it is a great question. I mean, we outsource answering the phone. We outsource, trying to help with billing issues. We try to outsource a lot of that. Once the policy is closed and the old one's canceled or out of the way, we try to outsource every contact we possibly can. Now, some people want to talk to their writing agent, and we do, let that happen, whereas some call centers don't. But we do try to encourage a little bit of relationship building between our agents and those people. So we don't outsource the relationship. That's pretty much it. But we try to build other relationships with other key employees that focus on those things. We'll outsource more and more over time. The more we can outsource to make agents more and more productive, that's what we'll do. So a lot of people ask us, how are they writing 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 50 applications a week? And a lot of it is because we do have administration help. We have, secretaries and office managers and our agent, and we have a lead flow of people coming in that we develop with those types of marketing strategies we were just talking about. So Zach says, what do you do for the outsourcing of the phones? I think you mean, what do you do for the outsourcing of the phones of the inbound calls? We have a secretary. We answer all of our calls live. We try to answer every single one of them, and then we have a good real voicemail with me recorded on it for people who make it through after hours to leave a message. We don't pay for a service. So, all right, not leaving anybody hanging. I appreciate you guys being on here. We'll do this again, like I said. Talk to you all soon.